So on today's topic, we'll be discussing about the road trip from Guwahati to Tawang. So this particular road trip needs a minimum of 5 nights, 6 days, because even 5 nights, 6 days is a pretty rush road trip. But that's the minimum you gotta do this trip in, because it's not possible in anything shorter than this unless you take the bus. So if you're planning on taking a vehicle, the first thing that you got to keep in mind is that you'll be traveling in 6 days roughly anywhere between 800 to 1000 kilometers. Keep a average of around 1100 kilometers. 800 is if you really want to cut it to the finest and want to skip out places. So now the first thing that you got to keep in mind is the vehicle cost. So when it comes to the vehicle cost, now depending on your group size, you can either opt for a small Swift Desire kind of a vehicle. You can opt for a SUV or a tempo traveler. Now when it comes to anything which is a 4-seater vehicle, the going cost is anywhere between 3.5 to 4,000 per day. But now the 4-seater vehicles are unable to do this journey during winter, that is in the month of December, Jan, Feb and mid of March. It's difficult for these vehicles to do this journey, so you'll have to take a SUV. Now when it comes to an SUV, the SUV cost ranges from anywhere between 6,000 to 8,000 depending on the category of an SUV. The cheapest from these being in the SUV category being a Sumo, which can fit around 10 people, and the Innova Krista, which will be anywhere between 6 to 7 to 8,000 depending on the rush, the crowd, the type of the vehicle age and so on and so forth. So now when you break this thing down, you know the vehicle cost. So now keep a understanding that along with the vehicle you need to get your permit done, which is an individual permit which has to be done online from the website of the Tawang government, and it can be done straight away. Now the third thing that you have to do is book your accommodation, because going there and searching and hunting for accommodation is real pain. So it's always advisable to pre-book your accommodation online. Now the blueprint that you should be following on this journey is very simple. Now day 1 you arrive in Guwahati. From Guwahati you drive 204 to 5 kilometers straight to Kaziranga. Kaziranga National Park is where you stay the first night. It's the best place to stay, and once you reach there, you saddle up, you stay the night. Next day in the morning you can go for your safari. After that you leave for the village of Bomdila. Now Bomdila is a town which is 214 kilometers away from Kaziranga. So this journey is a long journey, so you got to leave from Kaziranga as early as possible. So target a time by say latest 11 o'clock in the morning, so you can reach Bomdila by roughly around 5-6 in the evening. Along the way you'll have to show your permit, your ILP at the border check post at Balukpong. Now once you have reached Bomdila, you can visit all the attractions the following day in the morning if you leave early, because there's only a monastery that is there to be visited. Day 3 is your journey from Bomdila to Tawang town. Now this journey is roughly around 175 to 180 kilometers, and this will be via Sela Pass, so you reach there faster. So if you leave in the morning at around 6 o'clock, you can easily reach Tawang by 1 p.m. And that's the day when you can just chill around in Tawang, go to the monastery, visit the war memorial and stroll around the town of Tawang. Now day 4 is when you'll have to go to Bumla Pass and Sangastar Lake. So for this particular thing on day 4, which is roughly around 30 to 35 kilometers one way, you need to hire a Tawang only vehicle. Your vehicle from Assam, or if you self drive, is not going to be allowed to go beyond Tawang town. So this particular vehicle will cost you anywhere between 6.5 to 7,000, and you need to get a special permit done. This special permit can only be done by your local contact, which is basically your hotel owner or your homestay owner in Tawang town. Now keep in mind one thing is that this particular permit has to be done a day in advance. So when you're in Bomdila, you have to have your thing done in advance so that you're not wasting time. When you reach Tawang and you try doing it, it's going to be really hectic, because you got to get this thing done with the army, and it's not possible for you to do it yourself. You really need a local to get this done. So it's better to always pre-book, give your local contact your details and book the vehicle through that person, so it is a hassle-free journey. So now day 4, you leave in the morning at around 7 o'clock, visit Sangastar Lake, then go to Bumla, get all the introduction about the border and everything done, and then return back to Tawang town by say 3-4 in the afternoon. Day 5 is when You wake up in the morning and you start heading back. So now you return back via Sela Pass because you're descending and the journey is going to be much faster. So this journey from Tawang town via Sela Pass to Balukpong, where you'll be staying for the night, is roughly around 270 kilometers. So this is a long 8-9 hour journey. Do remember that there's nothing much to see in Balukpong other than the river, which is you can pretty much skip it. So you can stop as much as you want along the way, so that you're reaching Balukpong latest, I would say, by around 7 in the evening. Now that's your day 5. Now day 6 in the morning is when you'll be heading back to Guwahati from Balukpong. This journey is around 250 kilometers depending on where you want to be dropped in Guwahati, the airport, Paltan Bazaar or somewhere else. So we'll target leaving from Balukpong by say around 7:30 in the morning, so you can bypass the traffic that is along the way to reach Guwahati. So you can reach Guwahati comfortably by 1-2 in the afternoon. So this is how ideally you should go about planning your entire trip. So now if you're planning this trip, when it comes to food options, the food options are unlimited. A lot of cafes have sprung up in Tawang and around, including Bomdila and Balukpong. You'll get your basic thali ranging from 100 to 200 to 300 rupees depending on whether you're going for veg, egg or fish or meat thali. Then there is Chinese, which is easily available, along with Tibetan food, momos and tuppa. A lot of Western food in terms of pizzas, pastas and coffee houses have started popping up in Tawang and in Bomdila. So food is really not an issue. Even veg food is easily available. Network is very very good in these places. Jio and Airtel have excellent network. You can go with both prepaid or postpaid SIM, and that's not an issue anymore. But keep in mind that Airtel, what I have seen is Airtel has better network compared to Jio in this region. And the final thing is about your budget. Now when you're doing this budget, it entirely depends on the number of people. And when you're hiring a vehicle, keep in mind that you need a minimum of 6 people to make this trip happen. Anything less than that, your costing will go up. So on an average, this trip, if you're 6 people, can easily be done with a budget of around 20 to 25,000, depending on how much you're ready to shell off with the accommodation. Because a basic homestay or a guest house or a budget hotel in along this routing will cost you anywhere between 1500 to 3000 rupees, depending on whether you want a double sharing room or a triple sharing room. You will not get rooms cheaper than 1500 rupees, and even 1500 rupee rooms are very hard to get during peak season and on long weekends. So keep a budget of an average of 2000 per room for double sharing and go along, and that should suffice your entire trip. So overall, if you keep a budget of 25,000 excluding your flights, and if you're a group of 6, you'll have a comfortable fun filled trip to Tawang via Guwahati. And this is, I'm talking about a road trip. Just convince 6 friends or tag along with a group like Tlow, where you will find other travelers if you don't have a group of 6, and it'll be much more easier for you to travel.